Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Extinguisher10, and today we are, well, as you can see, we are predicting the 2020-21 NFL season, playoffs, Super Bowl, all that. So let's get to it. So starting over here in the AFC, we've got the Baltimore Ravens going 14-2. This allows you to do head-to-head on playoffpredictors.com, and based off of this is all what I'm seeing head-to-head. And of course, you can tweak it a little bit. Personally, I don't think the Ravens are going to go 14-4. I think 12 or 13 wins is probably a little closer to it. But doing the head-to-head, I came up with 14-2. And I do have them coming out with a very good record. And yeah, so they're 6-0 in the division because the division is, it's a little shaky. Next up, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, 9-7. With Big Ben back, I think that'll help them out, but I don't think they're a great team. They're just an okay team. The Browns, well, they're the Browns, 7-9. That's probably about as good as the Browns are ever going to get. With the Cincinnati Bengals, they're coming off being one of the worst teams in the NFL last season, if not the worst. And 2-14, I think that kind of explains how much they improved during the offseason. They didn't. I mean, they added a cornerback and William Jackson. They of course had really high draft picks, so that helps, but with no preseason, no training camp, it's going to be tough for these young teams to advance. So I'm expecting these older teams to kind of hold on. Yeah, they're getting a little older, a little slower, but these young guys, I don't think they're going to have as big of an impact as they would have in previous seasons. And of course that hurts the Bengals. Tennessee, I have them going, well, winning the division and going 11-5. I think that playoff run showed that they can win some serious games. I also think that they were hot at the time, so I don't expect them to keep that momentum up completely and just plow over everybody. I think 11-5 is a pretty realistic expectation along with the division win. Houston Texans, Bill O'Brien is doing everything he can to dismantle a very talented team. And I think the record kind of shows that, yeah, they're still talented, but 10-6, he is keeping them from reaching their full potential. We'll see how far they can go. And moving on to the Colts, 7-9, and I think that kind of tells you what I think about not just their team, but really their new quarterback in Phillip Rivers. I've never really liked the guy. I think he's been overrated. Yes, he is undoubtedly a good quarterback, but I don't think he's as good as a lot of people have said he is. And he's getting old, and I don't think he's going to be as bad as last season, but he's definitely not going to be the quarterback he used to be. I wouldn't even be surprised if Jacoby Brissett took the job back at some point. So yeah, the Colts, they have some serious talent on that team, but they're not a great team, and that quarterback play is what's going to hold them back. 7-9 is what I have. And the Jaguars, they look like they're going to be, well, last year's Dolphins, who actually played way better than anybody expected. I mean, they were tanking, full-blown tank mode, and they didn't do too bad, but I don't think the Jaguars have the coaching staff that the Dolphins do. And 1-15, yeah, I don't think they'll do as bad as 1-15. They'll probably get 2 or 3 wins, but worst record in the league, I wouldn't be surprised. And then down here in the AFC West, I have the New England Patriots just edging out the Miami Dolphins. We were just talking about the Dolphins, but let's talk about the Patriots right now. They are pretty close to the same team that they were last season, except, well, the quarterback. And Brady, I don't think he's the quarterback he used to be. You saw that last season. He's still a good quarterback. And I think they're basically in the same spot that they were before, because you've got Cam Newton, who has been battling injuries. And even if he's fully healthy, I don't think he's the quarterback he used to be either. So 10-6, I think that might be what they had last season, something pretty close. I think they're going to do about the same. And that brings us to the Miami Dolphins. They caught lightning in a bottle last year, and they still might be lightning powered. They might be Thor. They are super young, super talented. They made some huge signings during the offseason, and with all those high round draft picks, I think even though the rookies are not going to have a great impact nearly as good as they have in the past, I think they've got so much talent that they brought in. They lost almost nobody. I think they've got to do better. There's no way that they can do well, I shouldn't say there's no way, but I don't see how they can bring in so much new, young, experienced talent in the case of some of the guys they signed and not do better. And they have a real cupcake schedule. So I'm seeing them going about 10-6 and competing for that division title. And if not a division title, a playoff spot. And then we have the Buffalo Bills. They seem to be in kind of that cusp, like, do I want to make the playoffs? Do I want to miss out the last several seasons? And I kind of see them being right about in that same spot. They picked up Stephon Diggs. Didn't do a whole lot else, both positive or negative. So I kind of see them going pretty close to about 8-8. If you said, hey, they're not going 8-8, what direction do you think they're going? I would lean more towards 9-7 versus 7-9. So I think they're probably a little better than a 50-50 team, at least in the AFC. And then, of course, we have the New York Jets. 3 wins might be a little generous. That might be a little generous. They're going to be competing with the Jaguars for the worst record in the league. Do I think they're better than the Jags? Yes, I do. But do I think they can take that title as the worst team in the league? It'll be tough, but I think they're capable of doing it. And then moving down to the AFC West, of course, the Chiefs, there's no way they're getting unseated. I mean, the Raiders? No. The Chargers? No. The Broncos? I don't know. But anyway, the Chiefs, led by Andy Reid's guidance. I mean, come on, this guy takes his team to the playoffs every season, and I don't think this is going to be any different. 12-4, one of the best records in the AFC, and I see a lot of regression and a lot of movement towards the mean for the AFC. And yeah, I think this is just going to be an easy division for them to take and an easy high playoff spot for them, even with some Super Bowl hangover. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going 8-8, and I think they're a young team. They're getting better, but there again, young teams are not going to improve as much as they have in the past. And I don't know if John Gruden has what it takes to make it in this league. Yeah, he did 20 years ago, but I don't know if he has it now. 8-8, that's about it. And then we have the Chargers also at 8-8. I think the new quarterback will do them a load of good, but unfortunately, I don't know if they have enough talent to overcome that 8-8 gap. They're just kind of an average team with an average quarterback, average offense, average defense. They've got so many great talented players, but so many holes too. Such a mixed bag. And of course, we have the Denver Broncos, and they are going to be another team that is going to really get hit hard by being so young in this season, where it's going to be tough for these young guys to progress. I think they've got some talent on this team, and maybe the year after, when things go back to normal, hopefully, I think that with the draft pick that they're probably going to get this season, because I don't think they're going to do very good with this 12-14 record, I think they're going to take the young players they have now, the young players that they're going to get next season, and they have some pieces. And I think they might really make a jump forward next season. But this season, I got them as, well, really bad. And now moving over to the NFC, we're starting with the North, and I have kind of a surprise pick for some of you. I have the Detroit Lions winning the division. And, well, I don't necessarily have them winning the division, but when it does head-to-head, the tiebreaker gave them the win. So I guess in this case, I do. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers did win it, but I see the Lions making a jump forward and taking a playoff spot. And 10-6, I'm thinking they're somewhere around there, maybe 9-7, but there's an extra playoff spot. And I think no matter what, they're getting one of those playoff spots. And of course, moving down to the Green Bay Packers, I already touched on it. 10-6, maybe 11-5. I'm thinking they'll probably take the division. But there again, the way these tiebreakers went, I guess they're not. But if you made me choose one team over the other, it would be the Packers. And, I mean, come on. Aaron Rodgers, are they going to miss the playoffs? No way. I mean, they're too good. They made such an improvement on their defense last season. Rodgers is still good. Aaron Jones is good. They've got a really solid team all around, and I don't see them not making the playoffs. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings. And I mean, look at it. It's Kirk Cousins. He's an 8-8 quarterback, and they're an 8-8 team. They've got a great defense and a offense. I mean, I just don't see them doing incredibly well, but I don't see them doing bad either. Well, obviously, 8-8. And of course, then there's the Chicago Bears. They were a popular pick last season, and I didn't buy it. And, well, I was right. And I don't buy them this season either, which I don't think anybody else is either. Their quarterback play is just too bad. Their offense in general is just not that great. I mean, they do have some solid pieces, but overall, that offense is really going to hold them back. And there's just too much turmoil in that quarterback position. And I think that's really going to hold back an average team from being average and really hold them back to being a bad team. Now moving down to the South, the NFC South, and we have ourselves the New Orleans Saints going 11-5, taking the division. They're a pretty similar team as they were the last several seasons, and, well, they were really good. I do see Drew Brees finally taking a bit of a step back. Again, I think he took a bit of a step back last season. He's going to do it a little bit more this season. I don't see him falling off. He's just too good for that, but I don't see them going and getting one of those really, really high playoff seeds, but I still think they're going to be pretty good. And of course, now everybody's hot pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Rob Gronkowski and who else? Oh, yeah, that's right, Tom Brady. And, oh, yeah, that's right, they just signed the Jaguars' old running back, Leonard Fournette. So they've got a lot of new great pieces on that offense to go with maybe the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver and maybe the best 1-2-3 punch now at tight end. Although with this Bruce Arians offense, they don't throw the tight end so much, which is interesting. You've got maybe, well, what am I talking about? Maybe you definitely have the best third tight end in maybe NFL history and a Hall of Famer and really a solid number 2. I mean, you've got maybe the best tight end crew ever. Maybe, probably not, but one of the best. And you're going to spend most of your time ignoring them, but maybe they'll adapt. They have all these hot pieces, but you know what? Their defense, I don't know about that defense, but that offense is so good. I just don't see them not winning a bunch of games. And 11-5 in a wild card spot, I think that sounds about right. Maybe 10-6. I do think they're gonna fall just shy of that division title. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers. And I think the 8-8 might have been a little generous. Losing Luke Kuechly, I think, is going to hurt him. But picking up Teddy Bridgewater is, I think, going to do them a lot of good. Cam Newton was not healthy. And let's face it, what's his name? Who I can't even remember. He's not a very good quarterback. He's not even on the team anymore. He's on the Washington football franchise. But yeah, I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to help them keep from regressing too far back. And yeah, 8-8. 7-9, somewhere in there, I think is what they're going to do. Maybe I'll be wrong, and they'll, I don't see them doing really bad. I think Teddy Bridgewater, as long as they're healthy, I don't think they're going to do really bad. Maybe if he can resurrect that career, he can take them to maybe a playoff spot. And then we have the Atlanta Falcons, and I think their time of making the playoffs is over. It's done. Matty Ice, he's a solid quarterback now. He's not a great quarterback anymore. And I don't think his quarterback play is enough to make up for no running game, because let's face it, Todd Gurley, he's good, but let's face it, he's on a pitch count. There's only so much you can do. That offensive line isn't what it used to be. That wide receiving core, they've got a great 1-2 punch, and then after that, it drops way off. In defense, they've got some serious holes, but some seriously talented players too. I just don't buy it. I don't buy the team chemistry. I think they're a better team than the way they play, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. I think it's going to be more 5-11, 6-10, maybe even 4-12. I don't know. I am not buying this team at all. And then next up, we have the NFC East. And of course, we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking the division with an 11-5 record. Do I think they're going to make huge improvements over the last season? No, they're a relatively similar team as they were last season. They did lose Jenkins. That really hurts. But you know what? They were missing their almost entire wide receiving core most of last season. It was a disaster. So there's no way that can't help them out. So Does it hurt losing such a great safety? Yes. But I think having some health will really help them out. And I think 11 wins is pretty solid. Next up, we have kind of another surprise pick. I have the New York Giants taking second place in this division. Daniel Jones made some strides last year. I think he's going to jump forward again. I know he's young, and I made this case for young players not making that step forward, but he's not a rookie. And I think with everything going on in this division, this is the team that's going to make the biggest jump forward of anybody. And that brings us to probably the biggest disappointment of this division, the Dallas Cowboys, because, well, they're always a disappointment. I'm surprised I didn't have them going 8-8 because they go 8-8 every year, even though it seems like they have an all-star team. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually went 8-8, but I had them going 7-9 when I did the individual games. And yeah, I think they're going to be really, really lucky if they snag a wild card spot. And 7-9, yeah, I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to be, once again, on the outside looking in, so close, yet so far. And next up, we have the Washington football franchise. That's still taking some getting used to. Saying hopefully they change their name to maybe the Potatoes. That way I can just go back to calling them what I'm used to calling them. But it's, potato. Anyway, I don't think they're going to do too hot. With all the controversy around them and the fact that they're not a very good team, I see them going 5-11, and that might be a little generous too. And next up, and well, not just next up, finishing it off, we have the NFC West and the Seahawks. They've made some huge acquisitions this offseason. And yeah, they lost pretty much their entire offensive line, but they had a really bad offensive line, so how much worse can it get? I see them really jumping forward in this division, and I guess 12-4, didn't they go 11-5 last season, or 12-4, something like that? So, okay, I see them having pretty much about the same record, but the 49ers are going to regress. But with all their acquisitions, and I didn't think that they were as good of a team as they played last season, so I think this season they're better, and they're going to get pretty much the same record, 12-14, and easily a division title. But next up, we have the San Francisco, Santa Clara 49ers, and they don't have that last place schedule anymore, which really helped them to such a fantastic record. Do I still think they're a good team? Yes. But now they have a first place schedule, and I think that's going to really hurt them. And I think it is going to show that they're really kind of a good but not great team. And you kind of saw that last season in the playoffs. That's really what they are. They have a game manager in Jimmy G at quarterback, and that can only take you so far. Your team needs to be that much better if you're going to have that kind of formula for success. So 10-6 and a wild card spot. That's what I see them getting. And next up, we have maybe the second biggest surprise of all my predictions here, and that is the Arizona Cardinals going 9-7. It might be more like 8-8, but I really see them taking a good jump forward. And I don't see that there's any way that they're going to be in the cellar of this division. Third place and contending for a playoff spot in the last few weeks is what I see. There's a lot of talent on this team. They're young, but they're experienced kind of young. There's a lot of second and third year players, not rookies, that I see playing a huge role on this team and helping them take that step forward. And next up, we have another disappointing team in the Los Angeles Rams with that hideous logo. I mean, look at that thing. Look at that. Look at that. Ugh. Anyway, 5-11. That's about what I see them doing. There's so many just tremendously talented players. They probably have the best defensive lineman and defensive player in football in Aaron Donald. They have the best cornerback in football in Jalen Ramsey. Just huge, tremendously talented players, but also tremendously flawed players on this team too, and I think that's going to really hold them back. Maybe the schedule will help them out more than I think, but I don't see them doing too incredibly well. I see them as a cellar dweller in this division. So, now that we've talked about the individual performances within each division, let's advance to the playoffs and see how all the seeding goes. So here we are in the playoffs, and let's just jump on down, check out who we think is going to get that first round bye, and it looks like it's going to be the Ravens and the Seahawks. So that's kind of interesting. And with this expanded playoff format, it makes it a little interesting. I really like the old format, but it is what it is. Let's just pick the games individually. So let's start off in the AFC. We have the Dolphins at the Patriots. Rookie quarterback, I just don't think they're going to step up and do that right away. Cam Newton, he's experienced. He's not what he used to be, but I think that experience is going to be what he needs to lead them to a first-round victory over the Dolphins. And next up, we have the Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans. And I just don't think Bill O'Brien can coach his way out of a paper bag. It's got to be the Titans. And then we have ourselves Pittsburgh at Kansas City. Come on, really? Even with the Super Bowl hangover, I'm going with the Chiefs overcoming an aging Ben Roethlisberger. And now in the NFC, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. And as much as I want to give the Lions their first playoff victory in like 30 years, isn't it, since like 1990? I don't know. It's been a long time anyway. And I just can't do it. I see the Buccaneers with the experience of Tom Brady going in and edging out a victory. I hate to say that. That just hurts. I mean, Brady, come on. Just get out of here. But anyway, now we have, the 49ers. They got themselves a number 6 seed going into the Saints. And wouldn't this be just such a Saints thing to do, to lose this game? And forget it. I'm going with the Saints. I keep picking the Saints in years past, and I was wrong, and I don't care. I'm picking them again. And last but not least, we have the Packers at the Eagles. Aaron Rodgers, Carson Wentz. What do we have? Of course, I have the freaking Eagles beating the Packers. I like the Packers. I like Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think they can do it on the road. If this was in Green Bay, I would see this going the other way around, but with these two teams, I'm picking the home team. So now let's go to the next. Oh, hey, let's just hit next. Boom. All right, now we have the Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I hate to pick a hot pick like last year's Titans, but they made improvements. And the Chiefs, Super Bowl hangover, I think that's a real thing. Just you play extra games and it really wears on you. And I like going with the home team too. I'm going to go with the Titans. I think the Titans are going to win that. And then we have the Ravens against the Patriots. The Patriots on the road, the Ravens at home. I think Lamar Jackson is going to regress some, but not so much that he can't beat the Patriots. I see them winning this game. And then in the NFC, we have the Saints at the Eagles. And I think this is where Drew Brees pulls the Drew Brees and finally loses a game that they probably should win. But Eagles win this one. And then we have a Super Bowl rematch of like 5 years ago. Brady, Wilson, what do? You always take the Seahawks at home. There you go. Boom. Tough actin' Tenactin. And let's advance the week for the conference championship games. And we have the Tennessee Titans on the road in Baltimore. Who do we think is going to win? Ryan Tannehill, the game manager, the old man, or the young upstart, the super fast, super athletic, super good Lamar Jackson? I got to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think they're just generally a better team anyway. And yeah, Super Bowl Ravens, let's go. And now in the NFC, I hate to pick against my Eagles, but you know what? I just cannot choose against the Seahawks at home. It's just a fact. Seahawks win most of their games at home. Although, now that I think about it, there's not going to be anybody in the stands, so it might not work out the way that I think. But I'm picking it. I'm picking it. There we go. We have ourselves... Wow. Well, for the Super Bowl, we have ourselves the... Oh, look at that. I chose the 2 number 1 seeds. Well, there you go. But I see ourselves with a matchup of first and second place in the MVP race last season. Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, defense. Ooh, Seahawks don't have the defense they used to, but they picked up Jamal Adams. They've got some young players who have progressed. They're not super young, so I don't see them having issues with not having the preseason and training camp. They're second and third year guys. I think Bobby Wagner, he still got it. They picked up Greg Olsen. Will Disley's healthy. They have about 30,000 wide receivers that are pretty good, not fantastic, although Tyler Lockett, he's surprisingly good. He's better than I ever expected him to be. And then on the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, that running game is insane, and the passing attack has seriously improved from just a couple years ago. The defense, always solid. Come on, the Ravens, it's always solid. I did not think about this ahead of time. As a matter of fact, I did this entire thing just kind of on the fly, and I don't know who I'm going to choose. You know what? I just don't see the Seahawks defense and the Seahawks offensive line improving enough to keep up with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that's going to be their downfall. And I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to win the 2020-2021 Super Bowl. Super Bowl, what's that, 55, I think? Yeah. So that's my predictions for this upcoming season, and I'd like to know what you think, what's going to happen in this upcoming NFL season, who's going to win their divisions, who's going to go through in the playoffs, who's going to win the Super Bowl. I want to hear your predictions down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave her a big ol' like. It really helps out the channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, more football videos, more Madden videos, more MLB The Show videos, or Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. I might even play the new Avengers game. I don't know. I've also been threatening to play WWE 2K20 and still haven't got around to that. But if you want to see any of that stuff, why don't you jump on down, hit that big red subscribe button below, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. But until next time, this is Extinguisher10 signing out. Have a great rest of your day.